Hello.
How's it going today, guys?
It's going. It's going. We're finally here. The champ finally decided to show up.
Yeah, I got a little bone to pick with you. I can't think of anybody else who would want to tamper with my vehicle. And whoa, shut your mouth, okay? Last week you submitted to me being the champ.
We went over this last week. I'm done.
Now suddenly my battery's disconnected in my truck.
Why would I do that?
I don't know. You tell me.
So our show would come on late.
So you can make me look bad.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm always here. I'm always the first one here, last one to leave, and then suddenly,
the
week after, you submit to me. Suddenly, not having car trouble. Literally, somebody went under my hood and disconnected my battery.
That wasn't me.
You know how to disconnect the battery, Garrett?
I don't know anything about cars. Ask Mike.
Yeah, he knows nothing.
I know nothing. I know nothing about cars.
Yeah, okay.
Or anything else for that matter.
Hey.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't get in on it.
Hey, at least I'm not the only one that knows he's worthless.
All right? Don't you start too. All right? This is supposed to be movie madness.
There's madness going on right now.
Yeah, there'll be enough madness.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mike, because this is 80's action. All right? 80's action is here. It's finally here. Mike is with us. Thank you for joining us, Mike. Mike and I used to work together for a long time.
I feel bad for you.
Our big bond was
not as bad as I do.
Was over movies.
Oh.
And so picked most of the things on the board were picked out random yesterday, and I don't want to do this show anymore.
Well, before we
not the 80's action one. I want to do other ones.
Before we get into the show, I'd like to shout out my boy Fred, Seasonal Sports, brand new D Squad T-shirts, guys.
I hope he overcharged you for those.
What do you mean charge me? It was a gift.
Yeah.
He's wearing one himself right now, actually. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Rockin' Horse Tattoo. Need a little new fresh ink? Head over there, over by Big Apple Music. Dippin' Donuts.
Dippin'?
That's a coffee, baby, right there.
That's a coffee right there. It's a coffee. That's a donut. Go get you some. Also, big shout out to Scott for making that entrance movie.
Oh, absolutely.
He does damn good work.
Scott, okay. I haven't got a hold of you yet. I've been a little busy, the whole champ circuit. And I want to shout out Des and Troy. They couldn't make it here today. They're up in the northern part of Winnipeg defending the Winnipeg Tag Team Championship right now. Des, Troy, got your shirts here, guys. You guys destroy it up there, brothers. And this Saturday, what we got going on Saturday, Garrett?
This Saturday, listen, we're going to be in Canajoharie.
Oh, what are we going to be doing there?
We're going to be at the ICW show, man.
Ooh.
We are going to be at that ICW show. And if you're watching this, if you watch Wrestle Fandom, you should also be at that show. Okay?
And even if you don't watch, you should be going because
Teddy Long is going to be there. Okay? Teddy Long is going to be there. And Ryback is going to be there.
Feed me more.
On top of all the regular, normal ICW talent that is always there that you should just be watching anyways. All right?
Absolutely.
So hit them up. They're in Canajoharie this weekend.
Maybe you'll get to see the champ there. You could get some pictures with me.
Yeah.
I'm sure my assistant here, Garrett, would love to take those pictures. That'd be fantastic.
Okay. Can we move on to? Can we
Let's
actually get
start
started on this? I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't even mind putting it. I don't even mind putting it off. I don't even want to start it with even the first one. If Mike walked in the door, I was like, Mike, don't look at the board. Don't look at the board. It's gonna break your heart.
My first thought when I look at the board is, I want to cry.
Oh, absolutely.
I look at these movies. These are movies I grew up on.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're so near and dear to my heart. I love action movies, and yeah, no, I'm good. I can go home.
Okay.
I don't want to torture myself.
Yeah. I'm looking at all of these, and it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like,
right.
There's so many of these are.
That's what I'm thinking.
Like childhood memory. Like I'm going outside, playing, like pretending I am these things. Like when my mom was gone at work, watching some of these with my dad when I absolutely shouldn't have been watching them. Like,
yep.
I'm pretty sure that's how I watched Die Hard with my dad when I was like 7, 8. Yeah, exactly.
Tango and Cash, Big Trouble. I mean, these movies are Can we cancel the show?
Escape from New York.
Wait,
like,
Next subject, please.
Do we want to start at top left? Do we want to pick a different?
We'll
different
start.
bracket?
Might as well.
All right.
Pull the Band-Aid off.
All right.
Yeah.
So Running Man
Versus Big Trouble.
versus Big Trouble in Little China.
Chinatown.
This sucks. Why did we do this?
I mean, okay.
This was your idea.
I know, but it had to be done, didn't it? I mean, it's one of the greatest, the two best eras of action movies, 80s and 90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it had to be done. We might as well start.
I feel like you did this to me on purpose. This matchup. Like,
No,
I mean,
no.
like, you asked
There's
me.
only one in the first bracket, in the first side, that was actually done on purpose that I actually picked, and the rest were random.
Okay,
And
so
that's the bottom right.
I don't believe you. I think this is revenge, but we'll go from there.
okay, for me personally, I'll go first on this one. Like Running Man was always a good movie, great concept. It just didn't resonate with me as much as Big Trouble did. Big
It doesn't,
Trouble,
really.
Big Trouble for me isn't just an action movie. Big Trouble checks so many different
Adventure,
the action. You have
comedy,
the fish out of
Sci-fi.
water, comedy, like
sci-fi even,
yeah, like it literally it's not just one genre where you got Running Man, which is straight up sci-fi action, and it's a great movie. Like I'm not saying I don't like Running Man.
Me personally, I think that Running Man is Schwarzenegger's best non-franchise movie.
Okay, I can.
You know what I mean? So we're talking like not Predator, not Terminator. I think if you're going to look at a single standalone like Schwarzenegger action movie,
Kindergarten Cop.
I think I think Running Man is his best one.
Not that this is the argument for today, but True Lies.
90s.
I know it's 90s, but I'm just saying.
I love True Lies.
He's saying the non-franchise
I could be
Schwarzenegger
proven
movie.
wrong.
No, you like, and I absolutely 100% agree with you because,
Yeah.
and I think True Lies
That's
was
a good
supposed
point.
to.
Yeah.
I think originally it was supposed to spawn a franchise, and
I'm glad it didn't.
Oh,
I'm glad it didn't.
didn't. And actually, I've heard grumblings on different sites and everything that I watch or look at that they are talking about doing a sequel of it. And actually, a sequel that I saw, I posted on the Facebook page yesterday. Sequel to Twins, triplets.
Really?
And that's been talked about for years.
I even missed that you posted it on our own thing. Yeah.
That's been talked about for years, and they were always talking about Eddie Murphy being the third brother. But it just didn't line up, and Tracy Morgan is going to be their third brother. So you're going to have Schwarzenegger, DeVito, and Tracy Morgan in a 30 years later follow-up to Twins.
I'm okay with that, and I think it's going to be funny, but I know that Jason Momoa wanted to do a remake and have Peter Dinklage be the other brother,
That would
which
be
I thought
awesome.
would have been
That would be.
genius.
That's a better idea.
Yeah.
That's
Genius.
a better idea.
But we are getting off on a tangent here.
Yes, we are.
So I'm
Which
going.
we knew was going to happen.
I'm
It's
going
gonna
big.
happen
I'm
all
going
day.
big trouble with this because it just, especially as a kid, like first seeing those movies, Big Trouble is something that I have seen over and over and over again. I've seen Running Man plenty of times, but Big Trouble is something that I've, from a kid to a teenager to young adult to now, that it hits me different every single time I watch it.
And I do, and I love it. I love everything about Big Trouble. The splash of everything mixed in there, and even Kurt Russell with Kurt Russell's character almost breaks the fourth wall in it because as he's going through like everything when he's talking to the old man and everything about it, is like, all right, what's the next thing? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he knows what he's going through is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yet he just continues to go through it. But regardless, my choice is still Running Man. So we're gonna put this one on Mike. Right
Oh yeah, the new guy. Let's make him the victim.
so
Honestly, I'm gonna agree with you. I got to go with Big Trouble. And here's the thing: it's tough for me because here's another thing about Running Man. Okay, the concept of it spawned other movies. Okay, we don't get Death Race without Running Man.
Right.
that's true.
You know, I mean, but Big Trouble checks too many boxes.
I mean, like
for me.
even the Condemned with Stone Cold
Oh, yeah,
was
yeah.
just like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, look at a lot of the battle royales with the video games and stuff.
Right,
Like
yeah.
it's all very
Yeah.
similar. That all right, you gotta beat everybody else to win, kind of thing. Like it's definitely a concept that's been tried and true, and it stays true. But there's something special about Big Trouble that has never really been recreated.
There definitely is. I was actually telling Mike, we had it on when we were at work because at the day hab, if there was down days, sometimes we get to be able to watch, pop a movie in with the guys. A lot of guys, especially one in particular, can't name anything, really loves the movie. So we were watching that, and then one of the staff who had never seen it was like, "What the hell are we watching?" And this really quiet, very nerdy guy, very awesome guy that worked with us at the time was like, "This is Big Trouble in Little China. Let's calm down." You know what I mean? Like, respect what you're watching. And they're like, "Oh, it's so ridiculous. This movie's stupid." Like, no, it's not. And if you would watch it in the 80s like we did, you know what you're watching.
But the other thing is the ridiculous of the movie is something that makes it as awesome as it is.
Yeah,
And
it's
like
it's like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The ridiculousness helps make the movie.
Yes.
Right, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And
That's the point. It's almost the point, even.
Right.
It's one of the points of it.
Yes.
And like it's like you said, like Kurt Russell, like almost like knowing, like, I don't know what's going on. I know this shouldn't be happening, but
I'm just here.
Like, all right, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, even like he's supposed to be the big, huge action, and like the door opens up, and he's like, "Ha!" and he fires the gun, and it hits the stone, and it knocks him out.
Right.
And then everyone else goes in and kicks, and starts kicking ass, and then he finally gets up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's yeah. Let's see. Hold on. Yes, sir. We got Logical Robot just chimed in and says, "Yes, sir. The check is in the mail. Jack Burton was practically the Deadpool of his era," which
is not wrong.
is a very good point, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
The good guy who sort of can't make it work yet somehow always does.
Absolutely.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that because that's even a point that
perfect.
we didn't even make.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so now let's move on to Tango and Cash versus Missing in Action. Okay, now Tango and Cash is probably one of my more favorites on this entire list. But I'm going to actually talk about Missing in Action first because I needed to brush up on a few movies before we went in through this, okay? So I watched Delta Force. I watched Missing in Action. Delta Force, which is not on here,
Good call.
is the first like hour of the movie is extremely boring.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're expecting to see the issue, like Norris has like 3 minutes of screen time,
Right.
and if it was set up a different way, like basically, I think in my opinion, like executive decision was like they took, if they took all that and put that, if they did this, it'd be a better movie.
Right.
And they did it, and they made executive decision, and it was way better.
Right.
And then the action, once it does start, while good, wasn't quite enough, and even some of that was kind of hokey. Missing in Action is awesome.
Yes.
And so it could have been, if it was made even maybe like a little bit later with like a different director, I think it would have been possibly even hailed way higher and way better. But even for what it is, just, the survivor guilt that plagues him throughout literally the entire movie.
Right.
It is well told. I think he handles it well, for, being Chuck Norris, and the guy's not originally an actor.
No,
So
Walker, Texas Ranger.
But not originally. He got Walker after all the.
No, he got Walker because of his acting chops, obviously.
All the 80s stuff that he did.
In the full body gym.
Yeah.
Come on.
But Tango and Cash, for me, I love Tango and Cash. I mean, I don't know why there was. A lot of times it's like I don't want to see a sequel to something because I don't want it to ruin House. But honestly, I felt like they should have done more movies together.
See, and
especially the Tango and Cash characters.
I hate agreeing with you. It's one of the things I hate in life is actually agreeing with you.
Mm-hmm.
But
I know you do. But when I'm
Tango
right
and
about
Cash,
this.
like in the fact that like if you had those characters, you would not have cast them in the roles they played. You would have flipped it over.
Right.
Like Stallone being the button up, OCD, clean cut, like you wouldn't have thought that role for Stallone. He's coming off of Rambo. He's coming off of Rocky. Like, you think he's more the man of the streets kind of thing.
Yeah, he's going to be the more
flip
chill.
that.
Yeah.
And, like, Tango and Cash is one of those, like, that's on my top 20 movies of all time.
Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
like, it's a great plot. The action's perfect. Their chemistry together is just it's like Danny Glover and Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that you don't necessarily know what you're going to get or how it's going to work, but when it's put together, it makes something beautiful. And like that movie, it has the mystery, it has the action, it has the comedy beats in it too. Like, and
I mean, all the stuff that Kurt Russell says, like when he impersonates Stallone,
right,
to his face.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. And then everything he does about it, it's good. It's great.
And then like the beats with Terry Hatcher and everything in it, like it's just
the bad guys were good.
Oh yeah,
and that whole last battle in it was the junkyard or whatever, and like it was awesome. It was
it was ridiculously awesome.
Exactly,
the ridiculousness of that fight, of that firefight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it made it.
The one with the cars, right?
Yeah, that huge truck.
Yeah, it was the maze so that you'd get lost on your way to the building, which was the point. Which it's
And then you had that beat where they're like, "Oh, he's gonna die," and then it's like, I actually care about this guy now, and like it's like, boom. Like you said, I'm surprised that didn't go the route of like Lethal Weapon. You know what I mean?
At least one more, two more, or. Considering they both had a resurgence, especially Stallone, that they didn't have like a retirement movie. Like
you're telling me,
right?
You're telling me the Stallone don't got that in the works right now?
I don't know, but that's what, like, every time a new movie of his comes out, like he wrote off Rambo with Last Blood, by the way, it blew my mind. And like he did the same thing. He's doing the same thing with Rocky. He did it on purpose in Creed 2. If people didn't pay attention, like he's even said it. That he's not going to be in any more Creeds. Like, he handed it off to him so that Creed can go off on its own. Like, that's the point of it. And so he's ending these legacy characters a little higher. Yeah.
What that says is that Sylvester Stallone wants to make Tango and Cash 2.
Kurt
Russell has doubts.
I don't know why Kurt Russell was that. Why? Does he?
He's Mr. Nobody now. He wants to show up. He wants to show up for 5 minutes and.
He's busy making those Christmas movies for Netflix now.
He's a hell of a Santa Claus.
He is. He actually really is.
They kill those movies.
Yeah. Those movies were better than I thought.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
my choice is obviously Tango.
But you don't have to choose, obviously. But
I mean, look, it's 3 for 3.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I'm going to be honest. It pains me because it's Chuck Norris.
Right.
But
one of his better, if not the best of his 80s actions.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, with this show, a lot of stuff pains you.
Yeah.
Which, when Joe came up with the concept of this show, I thought it was like, oh, that's a genius concept. And now I think he did it he was already spiting me. Because this has already hurt so many of my feelings I've got. I quit on the first show. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And that was like slashers, which isn't even like super near and dear to my heart, like 80s action is, so.
Well, I love the fact that you have found someone else who likes to torture you.
Yeah.
Because
I got rid of you and then I got Joe.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, we don't work together anymore, so I can't do it.
So now we got Tango and Cash winning here, and then we follow that up with Escape from New York versus Cobra. Look at that. Like
so much better.
Right. Okay. I'll start.
Go ahead.
If unless anyone else wants to.
I'm gonna let you go.
I think Cobra is slightly underrated. It never gets talked about. But there's kind of a reason when he had also created characters like Rambo and like Rocky. So unfortunately, I think that Cobra gets tossed to the wayside. It's still good. He's still kind of funny in it, but it isn't as good as the other ones he did. But then we're also going to put it up here against Escape from New York, which it's so classic. It's so classic.
With Cobra, I've seen Cobra a bunch of times. I've tried to like Cobra, and honestly, if it wasn't a Stallone movie and it was a different actor doing it, maybe I would enjoy it more. but I enjoy so many of Stallone's movies.
Right.
Like even Stop or My Mom Will Shoot has a real small place in my heart just because it was kind of a different thing for him. But with Cobra, I felt it was just a lazy character. Like it was so 80s stereotypical of like big badass cop who doesn't follow the rules and does what he wants and he gets the ladies. Like it just and like the whole overly leather bound. It just it did not.
And
do
of those, I do think Cobra is the better one because when you look at like Black Rain and other ones like that, I think Cobra ends up being above those, which is how it ended up here. But I mean, I'd agree to that. You know, that it was the more like he tried for like the easy classic. You know.
Like I feel like it was kind of a paycheck movie.
It didn't land, you know, and it didn't land for certain reasons.
For me, this one probably one of the easier matchups.
Oh, Snake Plissken. That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
Escape from New York.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
you can't like it's one of those movies everybody knows.
Yeah,
and I actually heard
the concept alone.
Yes,
the concept alone could make it even win. Like it's really
and like it's
smart.
actually very similar, like broadly to Running Man. Like it's a very
I was just thinking the same thing.
And like they've used like that concept like even though like Snake Plissken was basically ripped off for Metal Gear Solid,
right?
But like if you look at games like Arkham City.
Right.
Like Arkham City is basically Escape from New York with Batman in it.
Yeah.
And
all the Arkham games.
And like I actually I read a few months ago they're talking about doing a remake of Escape of New York with Wyatt Russell playing Snake Plissken. So
I'm in.
100%.
I'm in.
Yeah.
And this has been a huge thing with me and like Mike and I have always gone over. It's like there's some things you shouldn't touch. There's a lot of things you shouldn't do. But sometimes, like, you can come up with stuff, and it's like I'm in. Like I said earlier, the Twins remake idea. It's like, no, don't remake Twins. But when Jason Momoa was like, no, it's me and Peter Dinklage, in.
Yes.
Right.
Now
in.
We're gonna
sign me up. Take my money.
That exact same topic is going to come up in a couple of matches about remakes.
Right. Yeah.
So
okay. So now we're gonna end up with Action Jackson versus First Blood Part 2. So now I almost feel like. First off, that even like First Blood Part 2, the name of it even was kind of weird because it was like
it's Rambo First Blood Part 2, and then it's followed up by Rambo 3.
Yeah. So, but
they realized their marketing mistake.
Right. 100%. And like I understand, like with First Blood, it was a very last minute decision to keep the John Rambo character alive because in the book. That character dies, and they actually they shot the scene where Rambo dies, but they decided that they wanted him, your hero of the story, to live, and it was so big it opened them up for the sequels.
Right.
So, and I think them putting the Rambo name on it and calling it First Blood Part 2 was just their like you said, just a marketing.
It was a marketing.
It was just trying to fix their marketing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Logical Robot just hit us back again with going back to Cobra. He said it was nothing but a slightly desperate direct answer to the roles Arnie was doing and didn't hit.
Oh, absolutely. And they're like,
and he's amazed that the director even directed it.
Like they had such a competition with roles. Like actually, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Right.
The only reason
Arnie
Stallone took it, Arnie tricked him into taking that.
Yeah. Which is crazy. And I'll just mention it now. Is as far as movies and especially action stuff goes, Schwarzenegger won the sprint, but Stallone won the marathon.
I would agree with that.
You know, like
but
you could give the 80s to Arnie. And maybe even the early 90s.
But
the last good thing, the only really good thing that he did after being governor was The Last Stand, which is great.
Yeah, it was.
You know, but look at all the insane stuff that
what happens if Schwarzenegger's not the governor? If he doesn't get into politics, and he's still making movies.
Yeah. but I mean, we could talk about what could have happened, but
Right.
we're talking about what did happen.
Yeah,
You know
Just,
what I mean?
yeah, I get it.
What if was on
But,
this morning?
but he
not
didn't
now?
even. He didn't even have that resurgence while he was governor. Really, it was after.
Well, he
in all
couldn't. He
reality.
couldn't really act when he was.
No. I'm talking about Stallone. Stallone didn't even have that
right.
big resurgence.
It was after.
While Arnie was it's not like, oh, he's gone, so I'm going to take this time.
They
to do
both
it.
had a big stint where they really didn't.
They didn't
do anything.
and then all of a sudden, boom, they were both back. And
Well,
it was
like
crazy.
Yeah.
Stallone did the Expendable movies, which kind of started putting him back in there.
Yeah.
And then
Bullet to the head.
right,
Last Blood.
and
The Creeds.
I was gonna say I think the Creeds are really what put him back in the limelight, and that opened up the doors for him to do the sequels and stuff that he's been kind of trying to get going and whatnot.
Yeah.
But so, Mike, why don't you
Mike-
field this first? So
Yeah. Because I know you have feelings about Action Jackson, so hit us up.
Yeah, Action Jackson is one of those first movies that I remember, first action movies that I remember. You know, like Action Jackson, Big Trouble, Tango. Like me as a kid, 10 years old, late 80s, when I first started getting into the movies, these are the movies that I remember.
Right.
It's just it's just so special. The cast is amazing. I mean, take Carl Weathers out of it. I mean, I love Carl Weathers. He's a great actor. Okay. But Craig T. Nelson was the bad guy.
Right.
Okay. Coach
Yeah.
was the bad.
Coach was
It
the
was
bad guy.
genius.
Yeah, which I didn't think happened. I don't think happened again until Get Hard.
yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
Which I don't think happened
Yeah.
again until
Yeah.
Get Hard.
So I mean, just Action Jackson with the sentimental value alone to me, how well it was cast. You had Vanity in there who had just come off of
Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
thank
yes.
you.
Oh, that will be on another list. Don't you worry.
Oh yeah.
That's
I want to come back for that one.
that's on a whole. Yeah,
That can be on a lot of other lists.
I had to move some things into certain, because they were going to lose out. So there's a lot of stuff that it's not on 80s action. Like, no, that's on fighting. 'Cause
Right.
There's some
Right.
things that are more directly about fighting.
Oh, and that's why we limited it to 24 movies.
Yeah, because
too.
otherwise,
we could do bigger brackets and
Yeah.
just
but then we'd really be here all.
we don't
already
have
gonna
all
be-
day.
We're already going to be here for a long time with this bracket. We're still on the first side of the.
right.
All right. Well, to move this along, I am going to go with Action Jackson. And I'm going to go strictly on sentimental value for myself. If I got to pick between the two, that's what I'm going to take.
Yeah, definitely, and because it's up against First Blood Part 2, which is the better of the direct First Blood sequels. But I thought I really honestly I don't even like Rambo 3 that much, to be honest. I like First Blood Part 2.
Yeah,
thought
no,
it was really
I do
good.
too. I do too.
I think it's really good.
I don't remember 3.
But
Three's when they're in Iraq.
yeah, because it's
the colonel
to be
gets
honest,
kidnapped.
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
it's almost to go along with what he's saying about Cobra. It's like a desperate grab.
Yeah.
It felt like.
Yeah.
It was there. It didn't feel like there was any type of good story or artistic value to the movie or good storytelling. So I think it's definitely Action Jackson. For right here.
Okay.
So, or were you gonna?
I was gonna go
Rambo?
First Blood. Yeah, I absolutely was gonna go First Blood.
Yeah.
and just for my feelings for that franchise, I love that. I love all those movies. I would say Rambo 3 would probably be my least favorite out of
It's
all of them.
definitely my least favorite.
But I do love Part 2. It would probably be tied for my third with the most recent.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry, Logical Robot. We're definitely getting to First Blood. If you can see, it's already
It's already moved on to the second round.
it's already in there. It's already moved up. So because we only have 24 spots. So so now we're gonna go over to the other side, and we have Above the Law versus Red Dawn. Now I don't know, but I'm just gonna say flat out Red Dawn.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Like that, like
No,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Above the Law is good, and it's one of Seagal's better movies. I think, for me personally, I think like Above the Law, Out for Justice, and Under Siege were definitely his best.
Right.
His 3 best.
Under Siege is probably my favorite.
Under Siege is my
Oh,
favorite.
Yeah.
Definitely Under Siege. But not even just not only like him, but like the bad guys in it, or so like Tommy Lee Jones is just unbelievable. As
that whole
character.
Under Siege is
but
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn,
the cast, the idea.
Everyone in that movie is perfect.
And like the thing is,
it's cast perfectly, it's shot well. Like the
and it was relevant for the time, like
because it was for the time.
Because that came out like towards the end of the Cold War. Because like that was something that people really thought is something that could happen any day.
That resonated with everyone in the country.
Everyone. It's gritty. It leaves you. It's one of those movies that when you watch it,
you don't know who's going to survive.
No, you don't know who's going to survive, and you get like. You almost get like that pit in your stomach feeling when you're watching some stuff because you're like, did that guy just really go out like that?
Right.
But like the way C. Thomas Howell character goes out, that is so badass.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Like, it's, and just everything about it. Like, I remember being young and asking my dad, I'm like, when Swayze takes Sheen and he goes off and they're just sitting there and I'm like, Dad, what happened? And he was like, they died, buddy. And I was like, whoa. They die on the bench.
I think it's so funny that a majority of this cast.
He's like, they both got shot a lot, buddy. They're gonna die. And I was like, wow, okay, you know what I mean? And that was heavy, and you had to deal with those feelings, even being little and watching that. But it just resonated so hard, and like just and even was it Jennifer Grey's character? Yes. No. Give me the grenade.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That might even be. That might actually be the most badass death.
Right.
When you think he's going out and he's shooting at the helicopters, that's cool. But she's like, no, I'm done. Even after I die, I'm going to kill these guys. And she does. Mm-hmm. You know, it's so great.
But just how smart these kids. I mean, they beat an army.
Oh, essentially, yeah. That's
they outsmarted the smartest soldiers that Russia had.
Logical robot, the parachuting scene.
Yes.
The parachuting scene.
Yes.
It's so, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, these kids are just in school. Parachutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's so, it leaves like this chill on your spine.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's so good.
I'm
Red Dawn's
43 years old. I can watch that movie tonight when I go home, and I will still get the chills.
I watched it I watched it a couple weeks ago.
It's so good. Right. It's so good. And speaking of remake, the remake of that was not bad.
Oh no, it was a solid remake.
I hated it.
Very enjoyable.
I hated it.
You didn't like the remake?
I hated it.
I mean, if you compare it to the first one, it's going to be like harsh. But like as a standalone, you didn't. I liked it a lot.
You know what?
I'd watch it anytime.
Mm-hmm.
No,
either or.
Not above the Red.
Right.
Which Red Dawn are we? We're going to watch the first one.
Yeah,
but if it's on TV, I'm watching it.
That might be part of the problem, though. I mean, the first one was so good.
Right.
To me, that was a movie that should have. I didn't like it.
Holly asked if you're watching Red Dawn tonight.
I might just have to.
So you should make him, Holly.
Yeah. Well, I got the garage. I got the garage set up for a reason. So that's all I'm saying.
All right. So. Oh, man, I don't even want to do the break that Red Dawn just moved into. But we're going to move down, and we're going to do Roadhouse versus Beverly Hills Cop 2. Now, okay, so Roadhouse is...
This was hard for Garrett to put it on this list.
It's because, obviously, yes, it is an action movie, but it's more of a fighting movie. And we're just for anyone who's watching this, like, we have tons of lists going, and some stuff gets some movies end up on multiple lists, and then some only get put into.
And some genres have multiple lists.
Yeah, some. Yeah,
so like,
I'm not even lying.
In future seasons,
90s comedy has 3 lists.
Like we're gonna be revisiting these genres in future seasons.
I'm happy that 80s action we only ended up with 1, but 80s I think what was it? Comedy had 2. I think sci-fi had 2.
Yep, and then,
or fantasy had 2. I can't remember now because I redid a bunch of work on it, and there's a ton. So Roadhouse is also on fighting with a lot of other stuff from the 80s.
Sans if
Karate Kids.
Yes.
This stuff. So if you're seeing, where's this? Where's this? Trust me, we're doing diligent work, and it will end up on way other stuff.
And honestly, once the following gets more up there, we'll be just dumping a list of 50 movies and letting people vote to be what's going to be on it.
We can do that even. Logical Robot says that Dalton is one of the best characters committed to the screen. Like,
No,
Dalton's awesome.
So
He is.
Beverly Hills Cop. Okay, Axel Foley is one of those characters that everybody knows. That theme song alone has gone on for decades now.
Decades.
And while being a very, 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 very good sequel, it's not the first one.
Right.
And Beverly Hills Cop 2 does not, in my opinion, beat Roadhouse in this.
It doesn't.
In this matchup.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. But Beverly Hills Cop 2 was geared more in the action part than say Beverly Hills Cop. Okay. Which I appreciated and I really like. I love Beverly Hills Cop 2, but Roadhouse.
Like you can't like Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. I mean, when you started to get in shape when you were like a teenager and get big, like who didn't want to be Jack Dalton? Who didn't want to rip someone's throat out?
Right.
Who didn't want to kick somebody in the face?
And then,
who didn't want to grab somebody by the foot and drag them outside because they're too stupid to have a good time?
That final scene in Roadhouse when everything from when he sends the car in to coming into the house and everything that, for even though the rest of the movie has sporadic action in it, just that ending for alone makes it one of the greatest action movies of all time.
Polar bear fell on me.
So we're all going Roadhouse.
The dude's laughing like this, it's Roadhouse. But Beverly Hills Cop 2 was, I mean, to me, it's neck and neck, even with the first one, because it got a little more actiony, so I kind of liked it.
Well, you and I discussed it
slightly revenge tale, to it as well. So let's go down to Robocop versus Lethal Weapon 2.
Robocop.
You want to?
I love the Lethal Weapon movies. I even love the Lethal Weapon TV series they came out a few years ago.
Yeah, I like that too.
That was great. And while Lethal Weapon 2 is probably my least favorite out of all four of those movies.
2 is your least favorite?
2 is my least favorite.
I'd like to actually discuss this at a different time.
2 is probably 2 is my least favorite.
Okay.
And the only reason that it just sits sour with me is the whole relationship with Riggs and the diplomat female. That, it didn't feel right. Now, you had the introduction of Joe Pesci's character in there, which was, always felt was a great addition, a great foil to Riggs and Murtaugh.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt that love story put in there was a bit forced. And
absolutely, it was forced.
And just to kill her off and by them shooting up the trailer or whatever.
You know what? Okay. The problem with it being forced is they made the first movie, such a big part of it was the death of his wife.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. You don't force the love story in the second movie.
Right.
Well, not even. So what they did was they even wrote the lines in there where was it Forsted? It says to him that you got close to us once before and he's the guy who killed his wife. Right. But then he also kills his new love interest. And you know what? I see your point. I never looked at it like that. I'm going to be honest. So I always did think that, he killed his wife and now he killed his, possibly new chick, And so, but because his wife was already dead, I think they wanted you to experience that again through his eyes. You know what I mean?
And it was the fact, it didn't, I felt it didn't fit right. I love the Rene Russo part in the third one. That would make more sense. So he's had all this time now, and now he's reopened to love. And with Lethal Weapon 3, that was a big part of that. And then with 4, them finally getting out, and all of a sudden they're having the kids and the grandkids, and all that felt very, very fluid, and it worked very well. And that always, even when I was younger, it didn't meld right with me. And so then you got RoboCop, and for the time, the fact that movie got away with an R rating,
right?
like how like especially like when Alex Murphy is killed in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like I remember as a very young child watching that
Blowing his
and like
hand
making
off.
sure my mom's not going to come in there and be like, "Oh, you need to turn this off," just because I'm being traumatized and I'm loving every second of it. Like that was so graphic. And then you got Red Foreman in there as the bad
Yeah.
guy. Like
He's so good as a bad guy.
and that movie, like it breaks my heart that the sequels were what they were.
Yeah,
They
because
tried too hard.
especially 3.
They tried too
like
hard.
3, like I pretend that doesn't even exist, honestly.
Yeah.
Because you had such a great concept. And like that's another thing I love about the 80s. You have movies like RoboCop that spawned action figures. Like rated R
Right.
movies. And like see, I remember like with Terminator 2, rated R movie. I remember having the Terminator 2 action figures. You can go on YouTube and like look up the kids' commercials for them. There was no cartoon for Terminator 2. RoboCop did get a cartoon, I believe,
Right.
at one point.
Yeah.
But like that's what you could do in like the 80s and the early 90s. You could have a rated R movie with characters. Guess what? We're going to make an action figure of it. And RoboCop is just one of those movies that, especially guys around our age, will always be like, RoboCop. And even the remake, as watered down as it was, like visually was absolutely stunning.
Visually was stunning, but I thought it was a little flat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
agree with that.
Well,
Like,
yeah, we've talked about
Yeah.
that.
it,
Where-
but
little-
the
it could've
first
been-
RoboCop
could've
is
been awesome.
just something that, like, lightning in a bottle with that.
What do you think about this, Mike? Where are you going with this?
That's what I think. No, I mean, like when it comes to Lethal Weapon, I love all 4 of them. You know, I'm not going
Soon to be 5.
Yeah, I'm not going to stop watching any Lethal Weapon movie.
Mhm.
Okay, for me, it's in order of favorite to least. It's 1, 3, 4, 2. Yeah,
Right there.
it's got to be RoboCop.
Okay.
It has to be.
Good, because I don't have to make any. I don't have to make any kind of decision. So
What
let's
would have
go.
been your choice? G?
You make a good point. I still would go Lethal Weapon 2
Okay.
over it. But you guys make a really good point, and I can't. I mean, I like.
Look,
I don't have to argue it because
Right.
there's the two,
Right.
which is nice. Which is sometimes it helps.
Well,
if
here's
you-
the
if
thing,
you're-
though.
If you're the one who's torn,
Okay, so you have 2 movies that are both part of a series. Okay, you're not going to have the worst of 4 beat the best of 3. I mean,
right.
RoboCop is the best RoboCop movie.
right?
100%.
Lethal Weapon 2 is probably debatable, but the worst of the 4.
Yeah. Logical Robot was on it with me too. He also said Lethal Weapon 2. He rigs his own history rubbed in his face. The whole line, you can't even give me a parking ticket, which is a good line.
It is
Yeah.
a good line.
That guy's a good bad guy.
Oh, 100%.
He's so smug. He's so smug as a bad guy, and it is good Donner.
Oh,
directing.
absolutely.
No, we're not saying that Lethal Weapon doesn't have its good points.
No, I know.
But
Okay. So now, this is the only one I matched up on purpose. Okay, I did. I'm not even gonna lie. I did this on purpose because both of these movies, while yes, they both are Eddie Murphy movies, they're both more to the direct of the action comedy.
Oh, 100%.
Like even split action comedy, not like that. It's like, so we have Beverly Hills Cop versus 48 Hours. What do you?
So, okay, with 48
not-
hours, you have very good chemistry between Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. Like, it's their chemistry's good. It's a very good movie. The plot, very well written. All the scenes and everything, like it's a great movie. It's a movie, if it's on, I'll watch it. Like it's
Absolutely.
100% entertaining. But Beverly Hills Cop, especially that first one, was Eddie Murphy, and up until recently, because some of the stuff he's come out with recently has been absolutely amazing, but up until a certain point, like this was one of his finest things he did.
Yeah.
Like he was.
outside of his stand-up, when you think of Eddie Murphy, you think of Beverly
The
Hills
Clumps.
Cop.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
not the clumps.
Nah.
No,
Oh,
well,
my
like,
stomach turned a little.
The Nutty Professor?
but Beverly Hills Cop is
Haunted Mansion? No, I'm just joking.
Norbert.
Yeah, Norbert.
But it's
My headache just came back. Ugh.
but like this was perfect, like with the action, with the comedy, with the fish out of water. Like you got Streetwise Axel Foley from Detroit, who's always getting in trouble there, ends up in Beverly Hills. And like I've always loved the way him and Judge Reinhold played off of each other.
Yeah.
So much, in fact, in Beverly Hills Cop 2, you have Judge Reinhold trying to be more like the badass. And I always love that. I always love that series.
I also feel like I could make an entire list of people who I think are the most underrated actors. I think Judge Reinhold is one of them.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, agreed.
You know,
and actually,
like,
Netflix is coming out with Beverly Hills Cop 4 very, very soon.
Are you kidding me? Oh my god!
Because after he did, after he did that Dolomite movie, like Eddie Murphy, and that's why you got Coming to America, and like now Eddie Murphy's in the midst of a resurgence right now, and Beverly Hills Cop 4 is one of those movies that's coming. Very
also,
soon.
to go back to just to the whole Lethal Weapon thing, real quick, I also feel like they kind of missed the mark with having him and Riggs and Renee Russo's son, then becoming a rookie when what's his name, Murtaugh's son was then like a veteran cop. So then he's got to deal with this kid he's known his whole life. And you know what I mean?
The last movie Donner did before he died was Lethal Weapon 5. That's coming out very, very soon. I mean? You know, that could be a big plot point to that. Like
it would be the smart thing, because then you could have them in the background with the new characters taking it off. But whatever. I'm just saying what should be.
I'm going for Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
All right.
And also, I feel like I could make the argument that another 48 Hours was actually better than 48 Hours. It's one of those. I feel like it was one of those sequels that was
very, very.
That was better because it.
Well, that's one of the genres we're gonna do is sequels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
okay,
Godfather 2.
Yeah, let's take it. Oh god, yeah, yeah.
Terminator versus Big Trouble in Little Chinatown.
Terminator all day. It is. Listen,
the only painful part. The only painful part of this is how much we all love Big Trouble.
I do. We already went over it. We already love it. But listen, the Terminator is like perfect 80s noir sci-fi
horror.
Just everything about it. That music,
let's be honest. Like the Terminator was the sci-fi version of your Michael Myers, your Jason Voorhees.
Yeah,
like,
he didn't stop.
Like, didn't talk much. He moved at that slow pace. You knew what his objective was. Ayusa Akana. Like you knew what he was doing, and you had the whole city of Los Angeles as your either house or small town, like in those movies, where he has the resources to track you down regardless. And even when you shoot him, you melt him. Even when you've busted him down and he's
blow him up.
He's that last scene with the exoskeleton when Kyle Reese dies, and like he's still reaching out to try to it just
Now, to your point about like you know what his mission is, okay? The scene that epitomizes that is the police station.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
I mean,
yes,
that was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, how many? I mean, like it's like how many times does he get shot during that? It doesn't matter. He still keeps going. But I mean, in not only even like what you see, everyone did everything. So James Cameron with the writing, the directing, the Schwarzenegger absolutely crushed it as the perfect, played perfectly as a robot. Linda Hamilton did extremely well as the fed up with her life waitress
yes.
that was kind of
didn't purpose.
Know, but she was also at the same time not exactly the damsel in distress.
No, absolutely not.
Which was not the classic, oh, what am I gonna do? No,
and
she
thank God for that.
Grabs him at one point. He's like, on your feet, soldier. Like it's fantastic. But then Michael as Kyle Reese is so
good.
He's so good in that movie. Just you feel like this dude came from the future to save his own future, to save his friend, the guy who sent him there,
Not knowing
you
that's
know,
his
not-
son. Like,
and that's another genius
it's
thing.
such
The
a mind
entire-
fuck, like,
the
it's-
entire
Yeah.
movie is about saving John Connor, and he's not even in the movie.
Right.
It's so good.
Like, yeah.
It's so genius.
Like,
Like just the whole genius part about it
and
is like we're gonna have this robot, but he's gonna look like a regular guy most of the movie. We only need a robot for
okay,
like a
first
small
of
part.
all, Arnold Schwarzenegger has never looked like a regular guy.
Oh, okay, not regular guy. He's gonna look like a human being, a jacked up human being, but a human being nonetheless. But it's so genius on so many levels, and especially for the time. And I mean, I could even go on and on about it. I still think it's the best Terminator movie. A lot of people argue they're like, "Oh, Terminator 2 is the best," and it's like,
And I'm one of those people.
and but like to our biggest argument is even a storyline thing. It's like, okay, if the T-1000 is liquid metal, how did he come back through time?
Because it
no
can
one-
solidify.
No one talks. Yeah, but it's only supposed to be skin, so no one talks about it. And now we're gonna get into stupid stuff. But
But so
you know,
like,
but
but for
But
me,
you know
like,
what? Those are two movies that you don't need to choose.
you don't
between.
need to choose from. You know, and they're the best two Terminator ones.
Oh,
Everything else
absolutely.
that happened
until we
after
do
that
the Arnold bracket.
was
Wait, you didn't like 3?
Don't even. I
See,
will.
I like-
will rip this microphone.
I really like the last one, Dark Fate.
Dark Fate was okay. I think of any of the other ones, Salvation was actually my
Like if
my
you
favorite
watch
of
Terminator
them.
T2 and Dark Fate, they fit in so well together as what should be the trilogy. And like Genesis was okay for what it was. That's the one with Daenerys.
It
Oh, yeah.
started off better. See what they did was the time jump to the future was stupid. If they would have gone back to the 80s and just redone everything out of there, they'd still be running those three. That would have started their trilogy that they wanted to.
Correct.
They didn't need to jump to the future because we're going to relate to everybody by jumping to the future. That's where you ruined it. You should have kept it. Should have gone back, rewritten everything in the 80s, and kept it like that and moved on from that.
But I like how they kept that concept from that movie in Dark Fate, where the Terminator is going to just sit and wait and live life as a normal human until they catch up with it. And like I like how they put that spin on that in Dark Fate, where all right, he completed his objective. Now he has no objective. What's he going to do? Well, he's a sentient AI. He's going to adapt to his surroundings to survive. And that was a concept I really enjoyed in Dark Fate. But we digress. That's
Logical Robots on here saying Terminator as well, just for all the things that we were saying. Everything with Kyle, Bill Paxton's in that one.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton is in a
bunch of these.
A bunch of these. And in fact, he's the only actor to be killed by a Predator, a Terminator, and an alien.
Yes.
Yeah. So Bill Paxton.
R.I.P.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
I met him.
Your
I met him at a
gem.
Comic-Con.
Oh,
and
you did?
Dude, he's such like he doesn't come off like, hey, I've been in probably every movie you've loved as a child.
Yeah.
He's just a very like, hey man, how's it going, buddy? Like guy. He was great.
You're, so lucky. Yeah.
Weird Science.
Weird Science. Yeah, Weird Science. Yeah, he was so good.
Dude, like
I was just talking about that movie last night.
he was doing the Training Day remake show, or not remake, sequel to Training Day, and he was on that show when he had suddenly passed away.
Right.
He was so good in it.
Oh man.
He played so good as that. Are you a crooked cop or are you just a good cop that kind of like he was awesome in that.
Right.
So now we got Tango and Cash versus Commando.
Oh.
I don't want to do this one.
Okay. So Commando is awesome, but has
Commando is Schwarzenegger's Cobra to me.
it has so much cheese in it. Okay. And while I love the guy who plays the bad guy, he's essentially like an evil Freddie Mercury.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And which I also kind of love. And I think if, Freddie Mercury had probably been in really good health, like he probably actually could have played that guy. But to me, it would still be Tango and Cash. I got to say though, for Commando, I also like the weapon stealing scene.
Yes.
Too, where he drives in and he loads everything up, but then he kind of gets caught right after. But then he gets out because the Radon Chong saves him. But to me, it's still Tango and Cash.
I 100% agree with you because, like I just said, Commando to me is like Arnold's Cobra. It's a very kind of generic action. It's like they took plot from a couple different movies, hodgepodged it together, didn't give it much thought, and they're like, okay, so you're gonna go in there, shoot everybody, big booms, punch some people, get shot, and go, and then pick up the machine gun and mow everybody down.
When he lets Sonny go, that's cool. You know, like what happened to Sonny? I let him go. Yeah. Like, you know, it's great.
So for me, Commando is the first action movie that I remember watching.
Okay.
As a kid. So as an adult, I see why Tango and Cash is such a better movie.
Right.
And I'm going to go with Tango and Cash. But Commando, to
has
me,
sentimental value.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
I will always think higher of that movie than anyone else will.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just love him going in by himself and literally just blowing everything up.
Yeah.
You know, and as an adult, as a father now, I have 2 young girls.
I'm sorry.
That part, yeah.
I got 2 sons.
But, like, you know, he's going in, he's saving his daughter.
Right.
You know, so even now as an adult, that kind of hits home a little bit.
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
it was Alyssa Milano was his daughter.
Yes.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, yes. She was, yeah.
But yeah, it's Tango and Cash.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I normally never get up from the seat, and if I was to, I would put on, like, you know, something else. But I had a lot of coffee and water, so I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick.
Right,
but before I do that, Aliens, flat out Aliens.
I 100% agree with you.
James Cameron came into this sequel, and it was just, and especially not even just Aliens, but like the special cut of it, with all the extra ones where you see what's her name's we see Newt's family discover the ship, the scene.
That extended cut is amazing. It took an amazing movie. And it put frosting on it, dribbled it with sprinkles, and it did everything. And like for me, what Cameron did with Aliens is very similar to what he did with T2. He took a movie that was very like pigeonholed in one genre, and then took that and kind of flipped it and added the other things. Because with Aliens, you took what was essentially just a horror movie in space, and you took that, and even though Ripley has already proven that she's kind of bad at, like, the badass heroine, a lot of people forget in that original Alien movie, she was a kind of damsel in distress for a lot of that movie.
Yeah, she didn't really want to deal. It was just like,
but then
everything was just kind of happening.
And then Aliens, because of her PTSD and everything with it, and her just, you start seeing that badass Ripley that we see later on. And like the introduction to the Space Marines, and again with Bill Paxton Hicks is one of the more memorable characters in that franchise, and he, like, honestly was maybe in it for 20 minutes if you do the actual
Hudson.
Yes, you're correct.
Michael Bay
played Hicks.
Was Hicks, yes. Yeah. And again, another great character that he played, the perfect, 80s badass action guy. Even Logical Robot is saying that. Aliens. It was the next best logical step movie ever possibly ever created. And, I would, or I added the possibly, but like I would agree to that. It's so good. And then even to go on to the, we might not have to discuss it.
We're not discussing the next one. We're not.
There's no point. I'll just write it down.
Aliens and Die Hard.
Because
we're good.
Yes, Logical Robot, look into my eye. All right, I'll be right back.
All right.
Do what you need to.
So, I'll touch upon my love for Die Hard. Why you go relieve yourself there, Garrett. So, like where you were talking about with Commando is the first action movie you remember seeing.
Right.
That is what Die Hard is, the first one I remember seeing. I remember going to my cousin's house, and they used to, they'd rent the videos, and then they would have the 2 VCRs going, so they'd watch it, copy it, and then they would have a copy. And I remember going there, and they're like, oh, we're going to watch this. And I was born in 85. They came out, 88, 89?
88, I think.
So I'm like maybe 5 years old. And, I'm playing, whatever, I'm kind of paying attention. And then as that movie goes on, I'm stop playing and I'm like, what is going on here? Like,
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, like, and I make sure I watch it every Christmas.
Well, it's the best Christmas movie ever
And
made.
I 100% agree. I actually have an ugly Christmas sweater with
Oh, it's
Hans Gruber
fantastic.
falling, and it says it's not Christmas until I see Hans Gruber fall from Nakatomi
I
Plaza.
couldn't agree more.
And
Now, just so you know, when Garrett gets back and reads the comments, if my girlfriend is watching, she will argue the point that Die Hard is not.
and he will argue the same.
So,
And
Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
and actually, when next week when I get my sleeve filled in, one of the symbols I'm getting is the Nakatomi Plaza symbol.
That is fantastic.
And everything about that movie, and even with the sequels, even though the last one was very subpar and kind of cheesy, like John McClane
That's an understatement. But yeah.
is the perfect. I gotta
Holly,
do this
Holly,
shit.
don't get on my bad side.
Like,
Holly,
I told you. I
it's
said
a
it before you
Christmas
came out
movie,
here.
Holly.
And there's so many people that will argue against it, but John McClane is that perfect, and I really feel like he really like put it in the forefront of movies, because like you had it with Kurt Russell and Big Trouble, but John McClane is probably the most famous. Like, what the hell?
Your everyday,
Your everyday guy that
everyday
gets
guy.
thrown into an extraordinary circumstance, and somehow, some way, gets it done.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I myself have two Die Hard T-shirts. Die Hard Christmas T-shirts.
I was just telling. I have an ugly.
If it's not
ugly Christmas sweater that has Hans Gruber falling and says it's not Christmas till I see Hans Gruber fall from Nakatomi Plaza.
I mean, if it's not a Christmas movie, why do I have two separate Die Hard T-shirts that are Christmas themed? Why?
Yeah.
Then why? Why do I have it?
So-
Because it's a Christmas movie. That's why.
Well, the
But it's also the it's as an action movie. I could go on and on and on and on and on about.
and
how,
I'm sure we will when we
it's
do next
so
round
good. Yeah.
Aliens versus Die Hard.
Oh man.
So right now we
but
have
I don't even want to do that. I really don't.
have First Blood versus Red Dawn, and like as much as I do like Red Dawn, First Blood is one of those movies that is essentially perfect, to the fact where they changed the ending of the book and it made it better because he did survive.
Right.
And like my father was a Vietnam veteran. He very, very rarely spoke about what he saw, but he did speak a lot about what it was when he came back and what the climate was in the United States when you came back from it. And that's a movie to me that really portrays it very much how it was. And the fact that this guy, and if you think about it, in that First Blood, he only kills one person.
Right.
He kills the helicopter pilot.
Yeah.
And so the whole rest of that movie was him restrained, because he could have killed every one of those guys at any given point.
Everybody.
And it very much reminds me of like the Hulk in comics. It's like, just leave me alone, let me be.
Yeah.
And the military always going after him,
Yeah.
like,
They-
well, we got to stop you. We got to stop you. I'm not doing anything. Leave
they
me
picked
alone.
the fight.
They
Yeah.
absolutely did. And
Brian Dennehy picked that fight
and
and lost.
And
John
you know
Rambo
what? That is also one of the
finished it.
better movies or better lines in the movie when he says they started it.
they
Yeah.
drew First
But-
Blood.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I mean, and to me, of all the things that are great about the movie, the scene where he actually is like crouched down and he just breaks down
Mhm.
about like what he saw there, that I honestly think will forever be his finest piece of acting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you believed that he was in Nam, that he had to deal with all that PTSD, all the horror that he saw. It's so
and think
good.
about it, that movie
It's-
starts off with him going to find the last remaining member of his unit, finding out he died from the Agent Orange.
Yeah.
And like that's actually my father. He ended up with a lot of health problems when he was alive, contributed to that, and ultimately it cost him his life.
Right.
And so again, that's something that resonates with me very, very much. That our government put these guys through a war that essentially didn't need to be fought, in my opinion.
Right.
And then when they come back, discard them like
Yeah.
they weren't doing what you wanted them to do.
Right.
And to another point, I'm not getting into politics, but with the climate of the world today, this movie resonates now.
Right.
100%.
Okay.
Right.
I
Well, I
mean,
think it helped. It probably helped even change the view on it because you need it. It needed to be pointed out to, like, if you're deployed, if you're, when you're a soldier, like, you have to go and do what you're being told.
Yeah,
Like
do what you gotta do.
that-
Like-
those are the rules of what you
Well,
go and
people-
do.
I
And
mean-
if not, you're going to end up here. So, like, why are you crapping on the people,
right.
who
I
are
mean,
following the
when you-
orders, and that you're not, it's like it was the wrong thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, you got to
for them
remember
to happen,
when soldiers are referred to as GIs.
Yeah.
GI stands for government issued.
Yeah.
Okay, like, you're not a person.
Yeah.
When you are in uniform,
You're a tool.
You are a tool. You are property.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, my
is
son
insane.
is living this now.
Yeah. Which is insane.
So,
Sisters,
I mean, people got to remember they're doing what they're told.
right? 100%.
So, and I think this is a movie that helped push that thought to the forefront.
Yeah.
To, like,
Yeah,
maybe
I mean,
you should be mad at the government for sending the soldiers.
Shouldn't be mad at the soldiers.
You should be mad at
the people who are sending them over
the
there.
people who are sending.
Yeah, and and the reasons
which,
why.
Yeah, which I think.
I'm guessing we all pick First Blood here, right?
Yes.
It's got it breaks it really does break my heart.
It breaks
'cause
mine
it's
too.
Red Dawn. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But just yeah, it's
Well, I mean,
it's so good.
I mean, and you have Stallone against Swayze right there. I mean, granted, at the time it was an ensemble cast,
Yeah.
but it's still Swayze.
And now you got
But now we got Swayze
Swayze
against
Right. It's heartbreaking.
uh
It's heartbreaking. That's what this is.
See,
Okay.
this is an easy choice for me.
this
It's an easy choice for me too, but it's still heartbreaking.
It's an easy choice that breaks my heart because it's Predator.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Predator, in my opinion, is while being a genius script and having great visual effects for the time and everything, is at the same time the ultimate, like, beefed up ripped 80s action guy movie while being
You
so
had
many
Schwarzenegger,
other
Carl
things.
Weathers, Jesse
just-
Ventura.
that-
all the,
I
and
like how
actually,
the-
the original Predator was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
Like, it was like,
Yeah.
It's just, there's so many, like, Jesse the Body Ventura was in that, like, it just, Bill Duke, like, all the guys, like, that were in that movie were just these big, huge,
big
larger than
cigar,
life-
Chowrin,
yeah,
like
just these larger than life guys, and it was insane. I mean, even today,
It was the epitome. Like, every single one of those guys fit the 1980s epitome of what a military man was supposed to be.
they really did. And, like, the picture alone, the screenshot of Carl Weathers and Schwarzenegger's, like, arms when they grab each other, that's still used everywhere in social media today.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Because, like, and kudos to Carl Weathers for getting that jacked to be next to, like, he was the next most jacked person in that movie.
Right.
But he didn't have that far to go after being in the Rocky
Rockies.
movies.
That's true,
I mean,
which is true. But I mean, like,
he was
also,
he was
like,
in 4 of those movies.
Yeah.
I mean, he never really stopped working out. It wasn't going to take him much to get to that point.
Right.
And besides,
but he was that was the more cut ripped.
right? Oh yeah.
Then,
No, that was
like,
the biggest he'd ever
'cause
been.
boxing-
That was the biggest he'd ever
Like,
been.
boxing ripped and cut ripped, like, he wasn't that, are two different
And, like, the
types of
things
ripped.
they went
and
through-
he did it.
the things they went through to shoot that movie on location, like that, like I've watched a documentary about it, whatever. They had, like, weights and stuff there on location with them just so they could work out and everything, and, like, the heat was absolutely insane.
I can't even
Like, it was-
imagine what the heat was like.
That's why Jean-Claude Van Damme quit.
Yeah,
because
dehydration, right?
Yeah, because it was so hot in that suit, and, like, there's so many memorable points in that movie. Like, you got him in the beginning when he's starting to pick him off, and then, like, at the end when you have Dutch versus him, and it clicks to him. Well, he's got thermal.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do?
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, he literally beats the Predator with a bow and arrow.
Right.
That's something that's so awesome. And I'm really, really surprised that in none of the sequels or anything else, they haven't brought Dutch back.
I don't know why they didn't.
They brought back Gary Busey's son in the last one, playing Gary Busey's character's son in that last one. He was one of the scientists.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know why they didn't have the ending be different to like a van shows up and the door opens, and the genius part would have been having Danny Glover's character Dutch, and then the two people that survived the planet in Predators all be in the thing and be like, you need to come with us.
Come with me if you want to live.
Yeah,
like,
everybody's brains would have gone.
Well, I guess there was
How
talks.
did they get back? You know what I mean? They
and you know what? Everyone would have
talks.
been excited for that sequel.
Oh, absolutely. And there were talks of Arnold doing like an end credit scene as Dutch, and it didn't materialize. So I think,
but that's all they needed too. Was just you don't need him to fight anyone. You just need his presence.
The next Predator movie is actually going to take place in the past during. It's going to happen on like a Indian reservation kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So you're going to see like the first time or one of the first times the Predators have come to Earth, and it's going to be an Indian fighting him. I wouldn't be surprised if you do get an end credit scene where somebody is going through an archaeological dig or whatever, and somebody is like Dutch or somebody like trying to get a weapon or something that was left behind by the Predators to set that up.
Right.
So now we got Road Warrior versus Robocop.
Road Warrior.
Ooh.
Right off the bat, it's got to be Road Warrior, the best of the Mad Max series. First off,
Absolutely.
First off, you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. One is good. It started it, but it is slightly boring. We can't.
I agree.
You can't. You know, you got to call.
There was a lot of storytelling in that.
You know?
Yeah, that was.
Yes, and it wasn't totally post-apocalyptic at that point.
Yeah,
either.
it was. Yeah, it was. You know, devolving society.
Right.
But. And then also too, like I think Thunderdome was even a little bit boring.
Cheesy?
It couldn't quite.
It was a little cheesy.
It couldn't quite capitalize. But Road Warrior is quite literally it's a perfect movie.
And as much as I love Road Warrior, I love RoboCop more, buddy.
Wow, really?
Yes,
even more than Road Warrior.
More than Road Warrior.
So there's just something so good about. Just everything about.
So you're
Road
stuck
Warrior.
between a rock and a hard place right now.
You got to make the
That's
choice.
all right. We got a coin, or now I'm gonna go Road Warrior.
Okay.
Yeah, I love RoboCop, I do, but Road Warrior is just better.
And now we have Beverly Hills Cop versus Lethal Weapon.
Oh, to me, that's got to be Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon.
100. Okay. I don't even need to explain.
I mean, so we've talked about Beverly Hills Cop. We know how good it is. And
well, we talked about Lethal Weapon too. Like,
but Lethal Weapon.
That first movie.
The introduction
so
of Riggs.
Gritty.
Yes.
The introduction of Riggs.
Yeah.
He was geniusly written, geniusly portrayed. I mean, the scene when he's like,
the Christmas.
Are you kidding me?
But then the ending. Like that whole ending scene.
Yeah.
Like it went from like, oh, crazy stuff's happened to like it went serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. It went.
And like
everything
you
about
felt
it.
like something could happen. Like especially the fact that you knew like Riggs' wife was murdered and everything. So like you didn't know what was gonna happen.
Right.
And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Like it was amazing.
The scene the scene where he almost killed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
genius.
Fantastic acting.
He
like when you were talking about Stallone,
right?
And when he broke down,
yes,
yeah.
I feel very similarly to Gibson in that scene.
100%.
It's very real.
Yeah,
you're like
that. I mean, you think
like
it's actually happening.
Dude looks like he's gonna blow his brains out.
You forget it's a movie for a minute.
It's great. Another movie where the bad guys were perfect.
Oh, 100%.
You know, Gary Busey was so good as a bad guy. The desert scene, you know, the
torture scene,
you know,
like all of that. Like
the torture scene, the scene where like they think they kill him, and then it's the desert scene, just everything about it. Like when he's chasing the car on foot, you know what I mean? Is he the first person? I think he's the first person to physically run after a car.
I think I
could be.
I'm fairly confident that did start that whole concept.
Like Martin Riggs ran after a car. And,
like Martin Riggs is one of like he's not all the way up to as John McClane is for me, but he's real close, especially like his evolution. Like I love that character.
Yeah.
But now we have to put Arnold versus Stallone and Russell.
It's still Terminator for me. For these two, as much as I love Tango and Cash, and I do, I love Tango and Cash. I mean, I've talked. Mike knows I've talked at length about Tango and Cash and how
We've spent hours.
There should be more,
Hours.
and how good of an action movie it really is. But then it's still Terminator. I mean, it's Terminator. It's the Terminator.
Well, Garrett, you know how I love to disagree with you, right?
I know.
I can't on this one. I know. It's again, like you were 100% correct. It's Terminator, and
Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna say thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll move on.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
and I think for the next one, even though it's hard, I think I can already say where it's going, because as great as the movie Aliens is, and arguably the best in the franchise, it's not Die Hard.
It's not
Die Hard.
like it's like that's
It's
just
not. It's not Die Hard. It's really not. Let's just be honest. Like, you know, it's Die Hard. Okay. So now we got to do Predator versus
First Blood. Oh my god.
Oh,
whose idea was this again?
Garrett's.
the concept, the concept of the movie is yours, or the concept of the show is yours.
Yeah, but you picked this, and you picked all these movies. I would have picked one good movie and all the rest shit movies. First Blood, First Predator.
I'm gonna go. You know what? Just Band-Aid. I'm going Predator.
I'm going to too, only because.
Wow, I was going First Blood, but
No, now the reason I'm going Predator over First Blood is this. Last time I checked, that said action.
correct.
As good as First Blood is,
Right.
okay. I mean, it is one of my favorite movies
Yeah,
of all time.
Because there's
Predator.
That's a good point.
Predator is action all the way through.
Pure action. Like
Okay.
Like Red Dawn and First Blood are more along the same lines.
Yes.
Where there's
Right.
a decent
The
amount of
guerrilla
storytelling.
warfare.
Yeah.
Yes.
the
No, you're
guerrilla-
right. You're right.
I mean,
So
as
it's
much
good that they ended up together. That's random. You know, again.
I mean,
random.
Predator
but-
does have a good story.
Yeah.
You know, but
It's
the
pure
action is there non-stop.
Yeah.
I mean, he stands there with a minigun and takes down
cuts down.
everything.
Cuts down the fort. How good is that scene? Where like everyone is just shooting into the jungle, and it's just good.
Yeah.
And you're like,
They're not even hitting anything.
not even hitting
because
like-
the predator's up in
he's
the
up-
trees
he's
and
up,
they have
he's
no
gone.
idea. No,
he ran, dashed, he's up, and he's gone, and they don't know.
You know
it.
what? I'm changing my vote. It's unanimous with Predator. Like
Yeah.
as much as I love First Blood, like you're 100% right.
We talked him into it. Look at that.
Well, I mean, but ultimately it comes down to what we're action movies. We are talking about action. Okay? Predator just has more of it.
You're right.
It just has more of it.
Right.
So
So now we're stuck a little bit now with Road Warrior and Lethal Weapon, which also have a decent amount of storytelling to action. Okay.
see, I have to go with Lethal Weapon in this, and it's
I think if we were looking at it like a gauge, I would literally be like right here on Lethal Weapon. Like just tilt it over. 'Cause I love the
okay.
Road Warrior. I love it. Love the Road.
All right,
But
wait.
I think it's gotta be.
I think I might be able to make this a little easier for you. All right.
Right.
This is Mel Gibson against himself.
Right.
Mhm.
So which is the better?
Which is the better Mel
Martin
Gibson
Riggs.
movie?
It's
Martin
Martin
Riggs.
Riggs.
It's Martin Riggs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
really,
So we're gonna save Terminator and Die Hard for the second one.
that one may take a little longer.
Yeah.
So now we got Predator versus Lethal Weapon.
It's Predator. It's obvious
Mike?
to me. It's obviously Predator. Like
Well, here's the thing. I can't go Lethal Weapon after I just used the argument I did for Predator. I mean,
I mean, you could. I mean, the action is really good in it.
no, the action is really good
Well,
in
like,
Lethal Weapon, but
your arguments for both movies doesn't necessarily have to apply to both. Like
No.
if you like Lethal Weapon better, you
I
like
like
Lethal
no,
Weapon
I
better.
and I understand that, but I'm going Predator.
Logical Robot. Which one are you talking? Are you talking about the last one? God, I don't know if we're back on time here, but or are you talking Lethal Weapon or or versus the
What'd he
Predator.
say?
Because he said Predator wins because of the fact that it's a movie that transcends and blends several genres to nigh on perfection. Which is true. I just didn't know if he was talking about if it, because I don't know if he's watched, if it, sometimes there's a lag. So I don't know if which spot he's watching it on. But yeah, I think it would really have to be a little more Predator.
Yeah.
So
for me, it's Predator because of the action, because of the cast, and ultimately the alien. I mean, Predator itself is amazing.
The design, its design is genius. Its idea is genius.
How lethal it is.
Yeah, it
is fantastic.
Oh God.
Okay, I'm just gonna say 3 words right now, and this is how I am going to. So it's gonna be 3 words from one of these franchises, and both of them have different sayings that have 3 words. But for me,
I already know what it's gonna be.
It's not gonna be "I'll be back." No. It's "Yippee-ki-yay."
It's Yippee-ki-yay.
It has to be Yippee-ki-yay.
Okay, just so everyone knows, my top even 3 favorite movies, which my 3rd favorite might surprise people, but Die Hard and Terminator are my top 3 favorite movies. So
Die Hard and T2 are on mine.
But for me, it's still Die Hard. I could go in for days and days about Die Hard, about it, and it is great.
Well, it saved you from picking.
It wouldn't have mattered. I mean, it was unanimous.
Okay.
I mean, because I know my top 10 list.
Right.
I know which one is higher.
Yeah.
So I think with that discussion just happening, I believe I can just write.
Mike, are we there? Well, what do you think?
I think we can write that because I know what you're picking. I know what I'm picking.
Well, see, here's the thing. It's
because I know he wants to do. I know Mike wants to spite me a little.
Yes,
bit here.
I do. I do. I told you this the other day. If it came down to me deciding on this, I might have gone Predator.
Yeah,
I might have.
I think you. Yeah.
Just because it would have been fun to watch you squirm. Squirm.
Yeah, I know you would.
Okay. I mean, and honestly, it would have just given him more ammo for the rest of your shows, and it would have been fantastic.
You would have seen me go, no, and stand up and stay and storm over there, and super pissed.
That's what I should have done. I should have let him pick Predator first, let you pick Die Hard, and then just toy with your emotions.
Yes,
but I couldn't,
till I cried.
With sound mind, pick Predator over Die Hard.
No, I mean,
look at Call of Duty Warzone. Literally added Nakatomi Plaza and a John McClane skin to their game.
Right.
Yeah,
because they had to.
They added him and Rambo.
Yeah.
I mean, and Hans Gruber is top 3 villain for me.
Oh my God.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman, God rest his soul, is one of the most underrated actors of all time. His range and what he could do is absolutely brilliant. Honestly, his performance in that movie is just as good, if not better, than Bruce Willis's performance.
Oh, he makes the movie.
He absolutely does. I mean,
he's the best. Mike and I used to do a different Facebook page where we did like top 10 lists of stuff, and we did the movie villains, and Hans Gruber was number 1.
Oh, absolutely.
He was the number 1 best movie villain of all time. Fun fact, number 10 was White Goodman from Dodgeball. Because he was the only comedy villain that was on there, but Ben Stiller did that so good it was funny.
Ben Stiller was fantastic in that movie.
Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody. Logical Robot even says, if we're doing Die Hard, can we give Ellis his due? Because he's a perfect scumbag. And
he really is.
He really is.
Oh, my God, he really is.
So
good. Everyone in it was so good.
Yeah,
Hansy, baby.
Like we've talked about Ellis.
Bubby.
Yeah. But the way he just put it, that's to a T.
He is.
That
He's
is-
the
He
perfect
was
scumbag.
such
He's
a
a perfect scumbag.
sleazeball.
Yeah,
Like,
he is. He's
like the
sleazy.
whole time he's trying to bang Holly, and
Yeah.
then,
Yep.
like, and then he meets John. He's like, oh, hey man, like,
John even knows what he is. He knows, oh, you missed some. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, because he knows what he was doing. Because he's
Right.
not stupid. He's a detective.
Right.
You know what I mean? He knows what's up. So yeah, what's the next list we're doing in 2 weeks here?
2 weeks will be video game movies, and our guest
Video
on
game, not the conference. So
will
video
be
game movies.
Half Moon Gaming is going to be here to help us with that. Follow him on Twitch. He's got a Facebook page, Instagram, and everything.
All right.
And
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be a lot of fun. You
Oh,
can join us
100%.
next week on WrestleFan Radio.
a little
We're
bit
gonna
earlier
have the
than normal.
Yeah, we're gonna be but we're gonna be going on at what 10?
Yep.
Probably.
Yep.
So if you're up, if you can check it out 10 o'clock, then again you can always watch it later on the D or on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere that we are. Here we're gonna be going over not only this the revamp of NXT. But everything that's going on in AEW as well. Some theories I have about both of those two things, the state of the companies. But we're also going to be going everything that happened in the ICW show again,
Oh, 100%.
which is this weekend.
And we'll
Saturday.
talk about the
You gotta be
new
there.
champ also.
Yeah, the new champ.
There's a big
Oh,
cash in.
yeah, big huge. He deserves.
It was a real big
We'll get into it next week, 'cause
entertainment.
because I love Big E and he absolutely deserves it. But we'll get into it next week.
100%.
Thank you again to our sponsors, Rocking Horse.
And I'm sure this weekend, probably on the Wrestle Fandom page, we'll try to do some live streams, some
we'll
pictures
definitely be
from the
doing some
show.
stuff. Yeah, seasonal dipping, where we appreciate you, and also while we're on movies and everything, that rest in peace to Norm Macdonald.
Yep.
Didn't even know he was sick. It kind of came out of nowhere, kind of
he-
like Chadwick Boseman did.
Yep.
Mike and I were freaking out when Chadwick
so was
Boseman
I.
died.
That was,
You know, like
yeah, that was
we couldn't-
heartbreaking.
We couldn't
Oh,
believe it. So
100%.
same thing with Norm Macdonald. I didn't know he was sick, and then all of a sudden, he's only 61 and he's gone. So
A legend.
even being sick for 9 years, I wouldn't have guessed he
mean-
was 61. You know what I mean?
True.
I
Very
didn't
true.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea how old he was. I thought he still looked fine. I just thought he was getting older, and then turns out he'd been battling cancer for 9 years. So, but all right, join us back here in 2 weeks for this show. Next week,
Come
Wrestle
see
Fandom
me,
Radio.
the champ, on Wrestle Fandom with my assistant here, Garrett, and we'll see if we can get some guests. Like he's doing great. Like I really, as long as I don't find out it was you that messed with my truck, because if you did,
It wasn't
We're
me.
good-
You can
we're
have
good-
you can have Des and Troy like eagle eye watch me next week if you want to. Okay,
We'll see what happens.
Just but okay, it wasn't
We'll see
me.
what
I
happens.
guarantee it. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
He may have just made the phone call.
All right. All right. We'll see everybody next week.
Take it easy, guys.